Tengo el gusto y el honor de poder conversar con uno de los hombres que mejor entiende hoy por hoy la dimensión, profundidad y los aspectos en materia de riesgos que debemos de contemplar en una organización para prepararnos hacia lo que viene, los siguientes años, que son años de cambio, años que estamos teniendo enormes modificaciones en el sistema político, económico y social en la mayoría de los países. Marcelo Cruz, quien es Managing General Partner de Yacamy Advisors. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And thank you very much for accepting this conversation.
My pleasure to be here talking to you.
Marcelo, in this moment, we are in a huge change in the whole world. We are facing changes in every space of our society, in the economics, in politics. It's a huge change. How can we understand the main trends, which is the focus that most CROs may take in this moment in order to be clear to plan on the future?
Sure. I see that if you limit it to three, the regulatory risk is increasing all over the world, not just in the US, but also in Mexico, in Latin America in general as well. Freedom is under assault to a level that is becoming much more interventionist and much more tougher environment for the CROs, and they are feeling that. So in a poll that with CROs last month, we received that regulatory risk become the number 2 risk for CROs, right? Because they see this trend of regulators and politicians, and especially in our continent as a whole, from Argentina to Canada, becoming more hostile to financial institutions and to free enterprise in general. They want to be more participating and putting more regulations and fining and charging money from errors, from mistakes, and that's the number 1. The number 2 is cyber. Cyber risk continues to be a risk that because of the surprise event, you feel that your day starts well, and then suddenly somebody hack into your system and you never know, right? So it's very unpredictable. Although you have probably the best security, you still have events. You have constantly, thousands of times a day, somebody trying to hack into your system without permission. So they fail 99% of the time, or 99.9% of the time, but when they manage to get in, it can be concerning. And the third issue that is concerning CROs, there are many, but limiting to 3, I would say the introduction of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is changing. Although artificial intelligence has been used by financial institutions for a long time, longer than most industries, right? Like trading in NASDAQ, it's 70% from algos for artificial intelligence, and New York Stock Exchange, the same thing. High frequency use algos, which are basically AI. But AI promise to disrupt more jobs right now. Low underwriting, for example, wealth management, relationship with clients might become AI, and that concern, that the speed of implementation of AI concern a little bit the CROs and how fast can we go, and also how to use AI in our advantage, the risk officer's advantage to manage risk better.
In fact, here I find a problem of ethics and the way to use artificial intelligence. In this case, maybe someone can use artificial intelligence with no responsibility, and it can produce huge problems for organizations and also for markets. It's not only for one organization. Sometimes, someday, probably we can see someone that made something that he or she was not aware of what it was capable to produce, and they can get a market to bankruptcy.
I can't.
It's something that it's amazing what can happen on the basis of we really don't know the capabilities we can give a computer in the moment that we launch an idea.
You can use this recording right now to make this recording and pretty much put some words in my mouth that I never said. And you can record my voice. Some banks in the US use voice as a way to identify, right? So I can, because my accent, the way that I speak, so banks will recognize, oh, you're Marcelo, and I recognize you because of my voice. AI can reproduce my voice, AI can get my recording, put words in my mouth that I didn't. So that can be concerning even to access my account. A bank can, somebody can reproduce my voice or people's voice and access our organization. So AI can make a cyber threat as well, can be a cyber threat. So it is concerning how technology can be used. So I need to be very careful on how we do that.
Getting back to the point of cybersecurity, in this moment we are. This is a point where, in all levels of organizations, the cybersecurity is becoming an issue across the whole organization, because also most areas of our organization use systems for something.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot say sometimes more, sometimes less, but every area of an organization, probably the driver of the distribution distribution truck, he has a mobile phone.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's amazing the amount of things that are included on cybersecurity issues. So how to manage it across the organization? How to, in this moment, not in the perspective of an IT specialist, on the perspective of a risk specialist. Where will you start? And where most organizations must be working in this moment for cybersecurity or cyber issues, because it's not only cybersecurity itself. It's the risks can mean also in the way that technology is used.
Yeah, I mean, there are no more manual processes in an organization. I give an example. So we hired a while ago some low underwriters that will be on the street because they'll be talking to car salesmen, etc. And the first job was to give them a personal computer, like a manual, an iPad, so they can take it, and they can take it because all the underwriting will be done by this system, by an app within the iPad. So basically, if there's a hack, if there's a system, and some days the system is slow or off, they couldn't work or they couldn't get the client, right? So it is an issue that we have. We have lots of controls around it. So it's not like, oh, we're gonna be hacked every day. It's not. It's very difficult to hack, but as well our system. We have lots of protections and we have lots of ways to go around that. But of course, it is something that keeps you awake at night. So having all this in there, no more manual process. They're all automated. They're all system. If a system crashes, it can be a problem for you, for your parent company.
And getting back to the first point you touched among the main trends, the one related to regulatory risks, regulatory changes, but also of political policies which are suddenly changing and we're having surprises. It comes to my mind the fact that it's a proportionally goes the fact of the lack of accountability with the power of a risk.
Yeah. What they need to understand is that every time it's very beautiful because all our continent has this point of banking making a lot of money, they're very rich, etc. And there's a disparity. I'm not even denying anything like that. I don't want to go into this debate. But the problem is every time the regulators put these policies in place, it makes more banking more expensive because there's a cost of doing that. And this cost, who's going to pay that? Is the population, is the taxpayer, it's the whoever used the banking system. So it makes more expensive. They need to understand that. So it's very nice to go to the first page of newspapers saying, see, we got this bank, or we find them, fantastic. But in the end, end up on the taxpayer or the consumer pockets.
Well, and I will go far away to any kind of player in the financial sector. In the case of Mexico, for example, we have around 60-something banks in front of 5,000 players in the financial sector. So it's a broad market with a huge amount of solutions and components that all of them are facing this kind of risks.
Exactly.
And that the whole market moves with the wave. No? So this is, I think I will go further, but in this case, what will give in the case that you have to give a recommendation to any government of Latin America? What will be the recommendation to start giving certainty, to start giving accountability to investors, because this fact not only goes, the financial sector starts, but it's connected with, as you showed, it's connected with the rest of industries.
Yeah,
no one is out.
Exactly.
So how to start giving this accountability, to start building a new condition of certainty, a new condition of accountability?
Yeah, the population doesn't know, but banks receive regulations every day, new regulations, almost to the token of maybe 100 every month, right? So there's small one, there's small tweaks, but a regulation nevertheless that the banks need to be compliant on. It's over-regulated. There's too many regulations. Banks have to hire a stupid amount of people just to catch up with regulation that exists. The departments of risk needs to be bigger, compliance needs to be bigger as well, just to be compliant to regulations. So there's a point that, and you still have one bank or another that goes down. And for failures of supervision, right? So not necessarily for failures of banking, failures of supervision.
It also brings a cost for governments.
It brings a cost for the government, it brings a cost for the taxpayer, for consumer, because all this extra capital that they're putting on banks, the extra regulation, there's a cost for banks, and honestly, banks will have a profit in the end, so they're gonna have to charge it back. So it's not resolving because banks are still going bankrupt eventually, and it's concentrated because bigger banks are becoming even bigger, like JP Morgan and others.
And complexity sometimes comes with corruption too.
Exactly.
By hand.
That goes without saying. But, and that's the point, every time you do that, it looks good for a headline on the newspaper, on the news, right? Whatever people watch on social media, it looks great that you have that. But the other hand, that people don't see it as becoming more expensive, and less people will be using less banking because of that.
I would like to have from you a piece of advice to the chairman, to the CEOs, what they have to understand about risk across the organization in order to leverage their degree of assertivity, in order to leverage the certainty they are going to play for the next years.
I think it changed dramatically the understanding of CEOs about risk. So we have Barclays, that was a colleague of mine who was a CRO who becomes a CEO. So it's the first one in the industry that I know of in a very big bank. So they are listening more to risk. There's still ways to go in terms of risk culture, in terms of promoting ourselves in the firm, because we are risk managers, and not all the work we do is pleasant. We are the guys with the dark cloud above our heads saying it's gonna rain, and people say, oh, we're in a party. But in understanding that, it's important, especially for the smaller firm, mid-sized and smaller firms that are not that familiar with risk. That's our job. We have to bring up all these issues all the time to make sure that the organization survives and survives well.
Marcelo, I don't want to leave out, before closing this interview, your experience in the Risk Management and Trading Conference. You have been more than 1 year with us.
Yes.
And you can share us, what's your experience of being here? What gives you and what you feel it's giving to others who assist?
Some people don't know because it happens in Mexico, but this is probably the best risk management conference. I mean, I participate in pretty much all of them, and it comes to mind Risk Minds, GARP in New York. This conference is bigger and brings more diversity in terms of participants than any other one. So in terms of quality as well, of the speakers and seminars. So it's fantastic. So definitely come down and listen to that. And it's a wonderful place, Mexico. So a good place to come and have a conference.
I like you like Mexico also. This is a good point. Thank you very much, Marcelo. It has been a pleasure to talk with you, and a great opportunity also.
As well. Thank you very much.
To hear and understand about a risk condition who is reshaping the whole world, and we have to be aware of it, not only in financial sector, we have to be aware of it in any kind of organization, in any kind of company.
Thank you very much.
Thank
it's
you
a
very
good
much.
opportunity. Thank you for your time.
A pleasure to have you here. Marcelo Cruz, quien es Managing General Partner de Yacamy Advisors. Ha sido un placer el poder conversar con él y seguimos adelante en el contexto de la Risk Management and Trading Conference 2023.